I would say that it's the almost legalized form of corruption that's inherent in our political system. We have people who are called lobbyists, so they're people who represent the interest of companies. So, like pharmaceutical companies will have these people try to persuade Congress to vote one way or another to benefit them. And while like anybody can lobby their like the Congress or whatever political representatives, it's usually the people with money who have the biggest impact, and therefore, they make the biggest political donations, and then the people who get elected because of those donations owe them favors. So that's legal to a certain degree. There's lots of stipulations, but there's also lots of loopholes. So I'd say that's probably the most typical form of corruption. I focused on trying to get the right bus and read the signs around me, and not so much on political corruption. But it seems the biggest difference is maybe just kind of values. The Danish Jantelov, which pronunciation I know is off, but how everyone's equal, and therefore the government leaders should be equal and should focus on promoting that equality. Whereas the in the United States, you're seen more as like self-sufficient, and therefore you build yourself up, and ambition is encouraged, but maybe to a greater extent than it should be, and therefore people abuse their power because they feel like they earned it, and therefore they should have the power over others. Um, in practice, I'm sure there's evidence to suggest that the Danish political system is less corrupt than the United States political system, but I wouldn't say it's probably as widespread as it's perceived to be. And again, that's because of the way it's handled in the media. But I hope this helps. And that might seem counterintuitive considering the number of reports of political corruption and people who are killed that are innocent. But and that might seem counterintuitive considering the number of reports of political corruption and people who are killed that are innocent. But I think what's important to remember is how big the United States is. I mean, there's tens of thousands of police departments, so the number that are abusing their power is actually a lot smaller than you would think, because there's just the media reports only what's bad, and not, of course, about the other tens of thousands that are doing their jobs well. So I think that the perception of corruption is a lot more prevalent than the actual corruption. That's a tall order, but I guess the biggest thing anyone can do in a democracy really is just to stay informed, understand what the politicians are doing, and what the police are doing, and speaking out if that is if I think that's an abuse of power, or if that's a corrupt use of their power. No, not firsthand. I haven't had any run-ins with the law, and I haven't been involved with politics, so I don't think that I can say I've experienced it firsthand. I'm sure that some do. If you take any group, I'm sure that some people do, and there have been definitely cases of this recently. Michael Brown was a young African American kid who was killed unprovoked by a white police officer, and that caused a big uproar, as it should. And there's definitely numerous cases of that where excessive force or deadly force is used unwarrantedly. Um, there's also some very strange cases. There's something called civil forfeiture, where basically if a cop thinks that something you have, your house, or the cash you're carrying in the car, is connected in any way to drugs, even without being proven guilty, you can have that taken away, and it's really difficult to actually get it back. That's just something I've read about recently, but I don't know how often that occurs, but that's a really, really bad way for people to abuse their power. But other than that, it would be, I think, just overstepping the bounds and not following correct procedure in obtaining and arresting criminals. I don't think so. Nobody again, firsthand, maybe just like a trickle down effect from some bigger political corruption, but nothing I can point to firsthand.